Welcome back to the Coop Files. Adolescence and consciousness. Why do most adults never wake up? This is part 4, or the appendix, the final part. We're going to look at your own level of consciousness and delve a little bit deeper into what consciousness is. What we've covered so far, we've covered what do we mean by wake up, which is just elevated consciousness, becoming more aware, more awake, dot connecting, being able to see the bigger picture, being actually in control of your own self-mastery, waking up to who you are. We've looked at what is adolescence and all of the different stages, how important it is, how it was treated as a kind of an initiation by some cultures, and it's obviously the transition from a infant to a fully mature adult, not just physically but emotionally, mentally, psychologically, spiritually. And with that deep look at what adolescence is, it gives you the clear idea, or the clear sort of picture of where we are at as a society in terms of people's behaviours, and whether you think they've transcended to an adult or whether they're still stuck in childhood. We've looked at trauma and the effects that can have on people, but obviously more so children, through neglect, abuse, or bubble wrapping, not being allowed to grow up. And if a child is not prepared with and has all of the tools and the equipment to go through adolescence, then they won't go through adolescence. They'll abandon the true selves and identify with the ego, either a dominator ego or a victim ego. We've looked at what the uninitiated behave like, and we've had a closer look at what's actually gone on or is going on inside of their heads. We've come to a conclusion, and we've looked at some solutions, which is predominantly meeting people where they are. Don't waste your time on the zombies. And the appendix that we're going to cover now is, as I say, your own level of consciousness. Okay, just bear with me. I'm just going to get to the right slide. Okay, your own level of consciousness. That's not Madonna in True Blue. That just happens to look like it. The quality of your thoughts upon awakening reveals your level of consciousness. This is how I've come to understand it. The quality of your thoughts upon waking reveals a lot about where you are. The first thoughts of the morning are the least filtered. When you first wake up, the ego hasn't fully rebooted. Your stress patterns haven't been triggered yet. Habitual defense mechanisms are offline. You're closest to your unconditioned state. This makes the early morning mind a pure mirror of the deeper self. And this makes perfect sense because the ego, it hasn't fully rebooted. It's like when you go to bed, when you go to sleep, you have a reset. It's like the system is rebooting. And for a moment there, the ego comes online last. And how you feel and your thoughts and everything else at that moment, just for that split moment, is the way I like to measure consciousness. If you want a pure, unfiltered version of it. So if the ego is not, so think about what we've said about shame and guilt being the root of these soul disorders. These people are rooted in shame. When they first wake up in the morning, that's what I believe is their thoughts, feelings, and that's how they come online. That's their level. And then they have to spend the whole day, the ego reboots, and then they have to spend the whole day feeding it to get back to pride. It's Groundhog Day. The morning mind reveals your relationship with yourself. Most people live their whole day in reaction mode, fight or flight. But the morning moment reveals your baseline. A person with genuine self-love tends to wake with gentleness, gratitude, a sense of possibility, affection towards their own existence. A person with inner conflict often wakes with dread, heaviness, resentment towards life, and avoidance. And again, if you've got a good level of awareness, you can see a lot of those patterns in people if you take time to look. It's not about good versus bad thoughts. It's about the field you live in, the field of consciousness, which is all around us. Thoughts are symptoms, not causes. Negative thoughts, symptoms of fear-based consciousness, self-loathing, self-destructive thoughts. The underlying field of consciousness, your emotional atmosphere, produces those thoughts. So when someone wakes up with immediate self-attack, anxiety, hopeless thinking, again, it's just like Groundhog Day. It usually means they're living in a lower field of fear. Not that their thoughts themselves are the problem. It's their level of consciousness which is the problem. Likewise, waking with a soft, calm awareness indicates inner alignment, willingness, acceptance, and sometimes early stages of unconditional self-love. Complete difference, polar opposites. Self-love versus self-loathing really is the key polarity. Again, this is the polarity, the natural law, one of the natural laws. Most people understand self-love. Most people misunderstand self-love. The egotistical people definitely misunderstand self-love. Self-love is not ego inflation, narcissism, affirmations, or pretending to be confident. Self-love is the absence of self-harm in thought, kindness towards your inner child, forgiveness of past mistakes. Forgive yourself. Don't stay rooted in guilt or shame. A felt sense that your own existence is valuable. Self-worth. When you have that, your morning thoughts feel like another day, I'm glad I'm here. When you don't, they feel like another day, please not again, Groundhog Day. This is the clearest measure of your inner consciousness field. And I know people can get trapped in external things, situation, which can impact on this. I'm not trying to take away from people who are in difficult situations. But a lot of the time, if you're in a difficult situation, i.e. you hate your job, it's your choice. It's your choice. If it's creating self-loathing, which you would expect it to, because if you're doing a job that you hate, you haven't got much self-respect. The most accurate, direct and uncompromising ways to gauge your inner state, not by what you say, not by who you impress, not by spiritual ideas, not by external achievement, but by the unfiltered quality of your inner atmosphere the moment you return to consciousness. This is a deep, intuitive understanding of consciousness that goes beyond the mechanical numbers of the Hawkins scale. The unfiltered quality of your inner atmosphere the moment you return to consciousness. Pattern recognition. Again, we're looking at where you are at your own level here, and these are some sort of basic principles to give people an understanding of where they might be. The ability to recognize patterns and connect dots sits right at the crossroads between intellect, intuition, and consciousness evolution. So this is key, pattern recognition. Most people think it's just intelligence, but it's actually much deeper than that. In Hawkins' framework, and in spiritual psychology in general, it emerges from a specific level of consciousness, not from raw IQ. Pattern recognition doesn't come from raw IQ. And if you really look at the left brain intellect and what its skill set is, it's obvious that pattern recognition doesn't come purely from IQ, left brain eggheads. It's the crossroads, it's the combination of intellect, intuition, and consciousness. Again, another trinity: the male, the female, and the father. Pattern recognition begins with courage and willingness to search for truth. That's another key, the willingness to search. You actually want to go on a journey. You want to get on that checkerboard floor. You want to take the blindfold off and see the path to truth. And it takes courage. And it takes willingness to, and this is a cliche, to go wherever it takes you. And a leap, the only leap of faith that you need is at the very beginning, to actually believe that the truth can be discovered. At this level, the mind is open instead of defensive. It's in a state of expansion rather than contraction. You're willing to see reality as it is. You're not trapped in fear or ideology. You can consider multiple perspectives without collapsing into confusion. And that, again, that's another key part. Multiple perspectives. You don't just accept or refuse any information. You don't just blindly accept it or blindly refuse it. You consider everything, and you don't collapse into confusion. You process it, you weed out logical inconsistencies, and then you come to a rational conclusion. This creates the psychological space needed to start seeing connections. So you need that space. You need to get rid of all of your ideologies and your toxic worldviews and your fear-based consciousness. Open up, create the space, and be ready to start seeing the journey and the connections. At lower levels of consciousness, fear-based, fear narrows perception, anger blinds, shame collapses awareness, and desire fixates on one object. Pride refuses new information. It's so obvious, isn't it, when you actually just stop to contemplate all of this? It's so obvious that this fear-based consciousness is rooted in all of these behaviors and emotions and states. Desire fixated on one object. I think there's a little warning here as well for the conspiracy side of things, conspiracy theorists, and the truth movement. Is it moving? Is it going anywhere? Because a lot of people, they get fixated on conspiracy theories, and I don't think that's healthy. I think it's a part of waking up is to start to look at alternative narratives and start judging things for yourself rather than what the mass media feeds you. I think that's good, but don't get fixated on it. It's ultimately futile, and it doesn't lead you anywhere. This understanding the control system, understanding the coop, the hierarchy, the pecking order, understanding the system and why it is why and how it is maintained through our own levels of consciousness. Understand that and understand the solution, and understand all of the natural laws that underpin everything that we do, including how we think and how that plays out into reality and creates either control or freedom. That's what you need to fixate yourself on if you're going to fixate yourself on anything. They're just distractions. You're never going to know what the truth is behind JFK. Not in our lifetime. You're never going to know about the two buildings. You're never going to be told the truth and really know what happened. And add any item into that category, you're never going to know for definite what happened and who's responsible and how it happened. Nobody's going to tell you. You can work stuff out, but once you've got enough to realize that we live in a control system and that not everything is that we're fed is true or for our benefit. Keep informed, because it might just save your life, like the PSYOP of 2020, but don't become fixated. So true pattern recognition can't happen in lower consciousness, even if someone is smart. Smart also means a sting, doesn't it? Like when you smart cattle, give them a sting on the arse, mark them. True dot connecting emerges when we start to find reason, rationality, knowledge, and true intelligence. This is where logic becomes clear, systems thinking develops, cause and effect becomes obvious. You can hold complex patterns in your mind. You see beyond individual events to the underlying structure. Again, beyond individual events. Just going back to what I've just been saying about conspiracy theorists. Stop. Go beyond. See beyond the individual events. So this level is where this is the level of science, true science, not scientism, analysis, philosophy, organized knowledge, connecting the dots coherently, and then applying all of that into wisdom, i.e. acting on it, doing something with the knowledge. This is where someone stops reacting to isolated events and starts seeing patterns across time, systems, and contexts. This is what it means to be truly aware of the control system. The deepest pattern recognition, real insight, happens when we reach unconditional love and compassion for ourselves and the collective consciousness. This sounds counterintuitive until you experience it. The deepest pattern recognition. When consciousness reaches the love and unity, the mind stops fragmenting reality. You see wholes instead of parts. You perceive underlying meaning, not just data. Intuition merges with logic. Again, there's the balance. Your intuition is just coming from the pattern recognition, but it has to merge with logic. It has to be logical. Patterns reveal themselves effortlessly. It becomes effortless to see the patterns in things and where things are going. This is the level where people start saying everything is connected. The pattern reveals itself to me. You're no longer forcing connections, you're perceiving them. So again, some people will just, this is what the system would call confirmation bias. When you're forcing connections, you don't need to force connections. You'll perceive them. You'll just know. This is why mystics, sages, and awakened people often understand events at a level unmatched by pure intellectuals, because pure intellectuals cannot get that high. They cannot get above pride. This doesn't just affect the everyday people. This is everybody. The pure intellectuals, the experts, the talking heads on television. They cannot rise to this level of awareness and pattern recognition. Everything is separate in their atheistic, nihilistic heads. And again, it's not pure intuition, where somebody is just so controlled by their emotions to have a bad feeling about anything. And it gives them a bad feeling. It's always merged or balanced with logic. At very, very high levels, patterns appear holographic, the whole contained in each part. What happens in the micro happens in the macro, as above, so below. That's what you start to see. at that level, patterns appear, holographic. Everything is connected, everything. When we are at peace with ourselves, or we enter spiritual enlightenment, deeper mental awareness and personal transformation, time feels non-linear. Sometimes it feels like time's speeding up to a lot of people. I've heard that a lot. Are people raising their level of consciousness? I certainly hope so. Cause and effect feel simultaneous. Again, if you're in a state of non-linear time, the cause and effect will feel simultaneous. In your awareness, you instantly can see the effects playing out. Symbols reveal deeper layers. Symbols is again, that's another big part of the control system and the cult that controls it. Symbology, and we're going to look at symbology in later episodes. And most people just do not get it because they're so trapped in logic that you couldn't explain any symbol and what it means. I've tried before and it just goes over the head. One of the reasons it goes over the head, mind, is not because they can't see it. That's part of it, but it's also because they're so egotistically they don't want to be taught anything by you because you're beneath them in the pecking order. Universal archetypes become obvious. Intuition borders on claircognizance, just knowing. This is where dot connecting becomes vision rather than analysis. This level is rare, but parts of it can open briefly during meditation, flow states, deep love, near-death experiences, spiritual breakthroughs, experimentation with entheogens, with care, obviously, caveat. So intuition, that's how accurate intuition can be, and this is largely gone from society, and you can see it in. You can see it everywhere. You can always see it in the media and in movies and stuff. Where's the gut feeling gone? In crime dramas, when the cop just runs on gut feeling, it's gone. There's a reason it's gone, because it has gone. To try it at work. So I've just got a feeling, a bad feeling about this. You've got logic to balance it with, and nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to go on feelings, on intuition. The type of pattern recognition you have, not surprisingly, there are two kinds. Logical pattern recognition, which is analytical, systemic, cause and effect, connecting timelines, motives, structures, and then you have the intuitive pattern recognition, symbolic, archetypal, energetic, meaning-based, not data-based, holistic understanding. The way you describe your worldview will reveal if both are active, a rare combination. So you want both active. Obviously, it's always a balance. And your worldview. So just describe your worldview, and that will give you an idea of whether or not you're combining the two types of pattern recognition. And the way, so for example, my worldview is, I see so worldview being how you see the world and how you operate within it. So I think you've got a good idea of how I see myself. I am awareness. I have an ego to function in the external world, in the physical world, and that is my identity that I portray externally. My internal identity is who I truly am. And obviously I like to keep them in harmony. And as far as how I interact with the world, then I have free will to make decisions, and that's, nothing is predetermined. We can make a change, we can have an effect through our free will and actually motivate ourselves to do something, but there will be a determined outcome of that through cause and effect, based on whether or not our actions are moral, or based in morality, or they are immoral. So there is a free will element, and there is a deterministic element. It's a like everything we've discussed, reality has a combination, an equal combination of both. And they want you to think that there's nothing you can do. The longer that you think there's nothing you can do about this, the more the control system will creep and creep and creep. But anyway, have a think about your worldview, and that should give you an idea of whether or not you see the world and how you see yourself, the world, and how you interact in it from a balanced perspective of logic, intuition, free will, and the element of deterministical element through cause and effect. An imbalanced worldview would be something along the lines of, if you're one of these pure left brain eggheads, egotistical, everything is random. Everything is random. It doesn't matter what you do. There are no consequences. Not in terms of natural law consequences. If you do, as long as you stick to the rules within the control system, nothing happens. Everything's random. Coincidence theorists. And then the opposite to that, the right-brained slave mentality, self-loathing. The opposite would be everything is determined, and it doesn't matter what we do, we can't have any impact on it. It's pointless even trying. There is nothing we can do. Everything is determined, and therefore we have no free will. You've just got to survive the system and hope that you have good luck, I suppose, that God is on your side. And that's the end of the presentation. I hope that you've enjoyed that presentation. I hope that it made sense and that I stuck to the point in the main. I'd like to think that it's pretty clear. It makes it pretty clear that a lot of people are infantile in their thinking. They clearly haven't transitioned, and until they do, nothing's going to change. But that's not me being pessimistic. It's obvious nothing can change until people change their mindset, actually grow up, and we do have to not give in. We do have to keep trying and getting people to awaken within first, and we have to obviously not waste time on the people who don't want to be saved. So always at the minute I like to end with the 5 sort of steps to the awakening from the book Stellar Man, John Baines. First, stop lying. especially to yourself. Stop dreaming. Wake up. Learn how to think. Live in the present moment, not in the past or the future, and get active. And to end, as usual, just another reminder of the difference between natural law and man's law. And just remember that the truth is bitter in the beginning, but sweet in the end. Right, I'm a bit peckish, so I'm going to head off for something to eat, and I'll see you later.
Many people are experimenting with the drug ecstasy. I heard you say once that a lie is sweet in the beginning and bitter in the end, and truth is bitter in the beginning and sweet in the end. I have been meditating, but I don't have the experiences people report from the drug ecstasy. Is the drug like the lie, and meditation the truth? Or am I missing something that could really help me? Many people are experimenting with the drug ecstasy. I heard you say once that a lie is sweet in the beginning and bitter in the end, and truth is bitter in the beginning and sweet in the end. I have been meditating, but I don't have the experiences people report from the drug ecstasy. Is the drug like the lie, and meditation the truth? Or am I missing something that could really help me?